The last episode mentioned that both the men's and women's teams successfully found their campsites and secured basic survival elements such as fresh water and fire. The next critical step is obtaining food. How will the two teams manage to survive on the desert island for 30 days? Let's wait and see. Soon, the island faced stormy weather. A sudden heavy rain gave them a chance to catch their breath. As long as they could keep the fire going, even the piglets ran to the fire. Nevertheless, the women did not consider eating them. Soon, a waterspout appeared in the sky, posing a potential threat to the team's safety. After the rain cleared, they stored the collected rainwater. Considering their recent trials, they found the area unsuitable for living due to scarce water resources and unpredictable weather. Someone suggested moving to the previous beach where water was more abundant. After a discussion, they agreed and planned to move the next morning. For dinner, instead of eating the plump wild pigs, they surprisingly chose to eat pungent snails. It seems like a joke to expect women to survive in these conditions. By the 9th day, everyone started packing. They initially planned to take the wild pigs with them, but the animals were uncooperative. Despite their efforts, the pigs remained indifferent, so they decided to leave them behind. The journey to the new location involved a 2.5-hour walk through dense jungle, during which it started raining again, allowing them to collect more water. Upon reaching the beach, the two piglets that had followed them proved too tempting to ignore. Even though they successfully reached the new site, Fran from the team faced health issues due to the cold environment, leading to a drop in her body temperature. Concerned for her safety, Fran decided to withdraw from the competition, and soon a yacht arrived for her. As expected, her weak condition meant it was best for her to go home and rest. With Fran's departure, 12 contestants remained in the women's team. As the beach was littered with marine debris, they started collecting anything usable. They even found a half bottle of a beverage, which Hammy eagerly drank, savoring the sweet taste they hadn't experienced in days. Over time, they found a water source, but their attempts to boil water were thwarted by damp firewood, which extinguished the flames after just a few minutes. After struggling from noon until the afternoon without success in making fire, Bear had to intervene for safety reasons by sending a new fire-making kit. After more effort, they finally managed to create a small fire just before dying of thirst. Dinner was only some gathered nuts, but the temptation of the piglets led some to propose roasting them, as they had gone 10 days without protein. After a meeting, the majority decided to eat the pork, while Jamie chose not to participate and walked to the beach alone. Lauren and others then prepared the pork, which had been eagerly awaited. They brought the meat back to camp for a barbecue. The aroma of roasting pork filled the camp, and even those who initially refused joined in eagerly, proving that this was the kind of food normal people should eat. With the added protein, the women's team's chances of survival improved. Currently, the male team has survived on the island for half a month. During days without food, they mostly endured hunger. Those contestants with more body fat fared better, while the originally thin ones now had protruding ribs. Since arriving, Charlie had lost over 10 pounds in weight. This was visibly evident from his appearance. During the daily morning meeting, someone proposed that the most accessible food source remained fish. This necessitated greater focus in this area. At noon, the group specifically went to the shore to fish. More participants meant higher chances of catching fish. Unfortunately, though fish kept biting the hooks, overall, they still caught practically nothing. The group returned to camp to rest for a few hours. For others, the day might have ended here, but Vic turned his attention to alligators. If they could capture one, he'd earn newfound respect, and the entire camp's food worries would vanish. Vic led several teammates to search near the lake. Judging by the scattered mud patches on the ground, wild alligators undoubtedly frequented this area. Soon they discovered a burrow, but unfortunately, no alligator resided inside. They cautiously approached the water's edge, where Vic spotted an alligator mid-lake from afar. This elusive creature posed extreme danger, but clearly, it remained active here. The two decided to build a snare trap on shore. Perhaps they could capture it when it emerged. Using sticks and ropes, they swiftly crafted a trigger mechanism. For safety, Vic tested it with branches. The mechanism appeared functional. Now they awaited results. Meanwhile, while others worked diligently at camp, Kaya lounged lazily on the beach. He contributed virtually nothing to the team, idling and resting spot daily. Such behavior inevitably sparked resentment. Even Vic openly expressed disgust. When Key returned to camp, teammates confronted him about his issues. Yet he seemed impervious to reason. Words had no effect. Another day passed. Persistent hunger left everyone weakened. Though Vic and Dan set additional traps, nothing had been captured so far. Despite enduring 3 days and 9 missed meals, essential tasks, like gathering firewood, couldn't be neglected. Anyone with residual strength scavenged driftwood ashore, except Kai, who remained idle on the beach. He'd stayed there since morning. Witnessing this, camp members reached their limit. Vic finally confronted him directly, but Kai stubbornly persisted in his ways. At this rate, the team risked fracturing. During an afternoon exploration, others luckily discovered a fishing net ashore. This tool meant they could fish offshore and potentially secure new resources. Several teammates began modifying the net. After adjustments, they waded into the sea. Results would take days to manifest. Following a brief 2.5-hour rest, they returned to shore as fishing enthusiasts that afternoon. Only 2 of the original 8 hooks remained, making the task even harder. The net yielded similarly dismal results. Nothing upon retrieval. Today's total harvest amounted to 0. Tonight, they'd lie hungry in camp. Another day passed in the blink of an eye. Vic led several teammates to inspect the traps. Footprints along the shore clearly indicated an alligator had triggered the mechanism. They assumed it had escaped after breaking free, but sharp-eyed Barney soon noticed something odd. Zooming in, they spotted the alligator submerged underwater. This discovery shocked everyone. The creature appeared restrained by ropes, prompting the trio to devise a plan immediately. Barney sprinted back to camp for reinforcements. Upon hearing they'd captured an alligator, the group prepped gear and mobilized at once. Their strategy involved binding the alligator's jaws with ropes to neutralize its attacks. During the struggle, its massive size became apparent. After successfully looping the first snare around its mouth, they forcibly dragged it ashore. The 3 then piled atop it like a human avalanche. Their combined 330-plus pounds nearly crushed the reptile to pulp. A swift knife strike finalized its demise. Man, they'd finally bagged a real heavyweight. After hog-tying the alligator, they lashed it to a pole and hauled it to camp. Its size rivaled an adult human. This feast would sustain them for days. As night fell, they butchered the carcass into sections, grilling sliced meat over flames. One bite, the flavor was transcendent. Imagine enduring half a month without proper food, then suddenly savoring roasted meat, pure bliss. They devoured it ravenously, bite after bite. Thus, they slept in satiated contentment. The next morning, they finished leftovers for breakfast. Now energized, even labor felt invigorating. Smiles lit every face. By evening, the island's sweltering heat threatened to spoil the remaining alligator meat. They boiled the last portions in a pot. Shockingly, a plump alligator lasted merely 2 days. This meant urgent new food hunts loomed. Time leaped to day 20. At dawn, Barney spotted a crimson snake. He cleaved it in 2 with 1 stroke. Though killing unsettled him, hunger left no choice. While gutting it at camp, they discovered a partially digested bird inside, clearly inedible. The snake was swiftly consumed. Meanwhile, Vic delivered shoreline news. After half a month, he'd landed their first fish, the team's sole provider. They simmered it with leftover alligator bones into broth, but rotten clams within tainted the stew with putrid stench. Gagging, they forced it down. Vic declared this life unbearable. While others lounged at camp, he grabbed his rod and returned to fish. To Vic, his teammates seemed incompetent. In crises, only I deliver. After over 4 hours of fishing, he triumphantly hauled back a dozen plump sea fish. In skill, I bow to none. Yet teammates showed no gratitude, not even offering a coconut. That night, they feasted on Vic's haul. Finally, Vic snapped and voiced grievances. I've shouldered fishing alone for days. Most food here is my hard-won catch. Meanwhile, freeloaders infest this camp. This injustice ends now. After deliberation, he resolved to pause fishing temporarily, testing whether others could survive without him. The group had no rebuttal. Today's meal owed entirely to Vic. Another day passed in the blink of an eye. With Vic intentionally on strike today, the others finally devised a plan to fish offshore. Lacking experience, they even consulted Vic before departing. Meanwhile, the remaining members aimed to build a raft. This would allow deep water fishing. They secured collected plastic bottles to the raft's base. With enough bottles, buoyancy was achievable. After laboring all day, they completed the raft by afternoon. Eager to test it, they launched it immediately. Surprisingly, it performed well, sturdy enough to carry 2 people fishing. Though navigating the raft was risky, the potential rewards justified it. As for Vic, now idle, he decided to craft a personal bed. Sleeping on the ground was unsustainable. Self-isolating from the group, Vic began longing for his family. Meanwhile, the 2 on the raft fished for 3 straight hours. Whether due to poor skill or luck, not a single bite occurred. Without Vic, starvation seemed inevitable. Returning empty-handed, Vic met them with disappointment. Tonight, hunger loomed again. Disheartened, Vic retreated to his bed early. Time leaped to day 25. Vic, now bedded, appeared refreshed, but others suffered relentless mosquito bites. Bodies riddled with swollen welts, some faces grotesquely disfigured. A team meeting resolved to have Vic lead bed-building efforts. Hunting tasks paused for the day. They gathered materials and worked diligently. Fortunately, yesterday's hermit crab catch, boiled in a pot, provided meager dinner. By afternoon, beds were completed for all. The comfort was unparalleled. Finally, respite from insects. After choking down foul crab soup, Vic, unable to bear the scene, ventured fishing with Kai. The same raft, different occupants. Results varied drastically. Soon, Vic hooked a sizable eel. This catch left teammates dumbfounded. As they prepared to return, a freak gust of wind swept the raft seaward. Panicked, Vic summoned 2 teammates for rescue. After struggling ashore, the raft disintegrated abruptly. Vic narrowly escaped being shredded by reefs. Regrouping on land, they found the raft destroyed. Thankfully, all survived, but the ordeal traumatized Vic deeply. That night, he skipped the debrief entirely. By next morning, having brushed with mortality, Vic seemed to regain perspective. Revitalized, he resumed fishing. Expertise matters. Fishing from afternoon till dusk, Vic returned with 4 or 5 large fish. Teammates erupted in exhilaration. Truly, without Vic, they were helpless. As fish sizzled over flames, teammates regarded Vic with newfound respect. Indeed, a team thrives only with a leader to carry it. Currently, the female team has survived on the island for half a month. Having consumed 2 piglets a few days prior, they've managed to catch their breath temporarily. Thus, they even began dyeing each other's hair. It has to be idle hands indeed. Wouldn't building beds be a better use of time? Today's lunch was particularly meager. Only roasted coconuts and mushrooms. Such dry fare proved indigestible for some. Team member Georgie developed symptoms: weakness, dizziness, and constipation. For safety, teammates examined her. If severe, she'd likely withdraw and return home. With no other food sources, they scavenged clams along the shore, their sole protein supply. But on the return trek to camp, a massive stingray swam near the coastline. Georgie sprinted back to fetch a machete, but their response proved too sluggish. By their return, the creature had vanished. As night fell, they slept directly on the ground. No bed-building intentions whatsoever. The next morning, to assess physical conditions, they conducted weigh-ins. For most, weight loss signaled trouble, but Shivala rejoiced, her figure now slimmer. Surviving on a desert island, yet women's priorities remain baffling. Shivala even vowed to shed more weight. A team meeting followed. Some reported severe dehydration. Food-seeking duties were delegated collectively. Failure meant withdrawal. Under urgency, teammates scavenged frantically. Recalling wild boars spotted earlier in the jungle, they set traps for luck. Using ropes and sticks, they rigged triggers. Boars stepping in would be hoisted. Now they awaited results. These women endure astonishingly. Half a month sleeping on hard ground. 0 bed-building initiative despite ample time. Such habits inevitably harmed health. Becky suffered a spinal injury from this. Sleepless nights followed. She confided in teammates. "My spine aches unbearably. I can't work like this." Though reluctant to quit, she voiced her decision. After farewells, Becky departed by boat. The female team now has 10 remaining members. Days earlier, Lauren discovered a fishing net ashore. Today, They tested it at sea. Most were first-time fishers. Handling nets underwater proved cumbersome. One genius suggested anchoring the net on shore. High tide tonight might trap fish. Man, even high tide won't reach that height. At nightfall, they inspected the net. Results matched expectations. Not a single fish scale. Tonight, hunger persisted. Time leaped to day 25. Lauren and Beth went to inspect the traps. Unfortunately, though triggers had been activated, no prey was captured. Even bait vanished completely. They resigned to another fruitless day, but the final trap delivered. A boar weighing dozens of pounds lay immobilized. The sight nearly drew laughter from both. Alone, subduing it was impossible. Lauren raced back to camp for reinforcements. News electrified the group. As novice hunters, they meticulously planned before departing. Split into 2 groups to flank it should work. An hour passed debating strategies. Returning, they found the boar still trapped. Approaching cautiously, they circled the animal endlessly. Not one dared strike. Seizing the delay, the boar snapped ropes and fled. Speechless, they served it on a platter still fumbled. Practically spoon-fed, yet the vanished feast forced them to scavenge clams for dinner. This routine persisted 2-3 days. Gradually, clams grew palatable. Another day dawned. Still no breakfast. Days prior, Shavala built a bird trap near camp. Today she checked it. Bait stolen, no birds caught, unsurprising for her skills. Meanwhile, Lauren led others into the jungle to set additional traps, boosting odds. Entering the foliage, they spotted a snake mimicking a branch. Motionless, nearly invisible. Armed with machetes, they felt secure. After dislodging it from the tree, Lauren decapitated the serpent with one strike. The carcass became future roasted meat. En route to check another trap, fortune smiled again. The escaped boar lay snoozing nearby. No third chance sees this. After brief strategizing, they crept toward the boar. Georgie lunged first in the climax. Others piled atop to pin it down. 4 bodies pressed down, silencing the boar's squeals. To minimize suffering, Lauren plunged her blade into its skull. Taking life unsettled them, but secured days of protein. They triumphantly hauled the boar to camp. Others gaped in awe. However weakened, energy would revive now. Butchering consumed afternoon till night. Grilled tenderloin's aroma dazzled. They devoured it insatiably, faces radiant with fulfillment. Bonus: the snake meat, now roasted entirely to prevent spoilage. After a month, this feast crowned their grit. Pride swelled in every survivor. The male team has now survived on the island for a month. Scallops and coconut meat remain their easiest food sources. On lucky days, they might feast on grilled fish, but feeding 10 strapping lads is no simple task. Chronic malnutrition has left some contestants gaunt, reduced to skin and bones. Daily meetings revolve around sourcing food. Today's plan: track wild boars in the jungle. But sudden torrential rain derailed everything. Before they could react, the skies unleashed a deluge. Their stockpiled dry firewood soaked instantly. The camp nearly flooded entirely. While others scrambled to protect the fire, Sam stood idle on shore, admiring the sunset. This blatant laziness fueled resentment. The storm raged for a full day and night. Camp beds were swept away. Sam was tasked with weaving palm fronds for repairs, but after one glance, he declared it impossible. Teammates nearly cursed him out. They accused him of dodging hard labor. Unfair to the rest. Collectively, they threatened to cut his food rations. Panicked, Sam called an emergency meeting, vowing to prove his worth. He then gathered fishing nets by the shore, targeting small fish. A laughable plan, given the camp's recent failures. Sam recruited a teammate to deploy the net, swimming deep offshore. After setting it up, they waited for results. Contrast breeds bitterness. Meanwhile, Fish King, Vic returned triumphantly with catches. The camp's undisputed MVP, he supplies half their meals. Sam seethed as Vic hogged glory, though objectively, Vic's skills outclasses Sam by miles. Without Vic, breakfast would vanish. After barely replenishing protein stores, the group chopped firewood at noon, then scavenged clams before high tide. Each received 15 or 16. Mere mouthfuls. Sam later checked his net alone, convinced of success. But after hours of swimming, The gill net remained pristine. Defeat crushed him. As fish grew scarcer daily, even Vic struck out today. Facing crisis, they agreed to mass deploy gill nets, their last hope for protein. Sam led the team into the sea, their excited shouts hinting at success. Hauling the net ashore revealed a staggering haul of 21 fish. Cheers erupted. Feast after days of hunger. Back at camp, they tallied the catch. 2 weeks' worth at 2 fish per person daily. Credit went to Sam for repairing the nets. Full bellies carried them through another day. With this promising start, their luck skyrocketed over the coming days. Gill nets yielded repeated hauls. So much fish piled up they couldn't finish it. But the island's scorching heat meant each net retrieval required 1 to 2 Daltons is weight, causing much fish to rot. Reluctantly, they discarded the spoiled meat. To curb waste, they resumed fishing during downtime. The journey required crossing treacherous reefs, with violent waves. One misstep meant being dragged underwater. Vic leaped across first, landing safely. Teammates followed, leaving only Will, burdened with the camera. He chose to edge along the reef instead of jumping. Mid-crossing, he slipped and fell. Man, that was a brutal tumble. The camera smashed. Will's arm gashed open by sharp rocks. Alarmed, the group aborted fishing, rushing Will back to camp. Teammate Piers inspected the wound. This needs stitches immediately. Will had to withdraw. Devastated, Will lamented. 1 week shy of completing the challenge. Still, teammates dialed the evacuation call. A speedboat soon arrived to ferry him to the hospital. With Will gone, the male team now has 10 members. 1 more week to endure for victory. To vacation mode, their final stretch. They sought lifestyle upgrades. Despite the raft's aid, gill nets yielded scant fish. Even shore clams were depleted. Days of hunger followed until someone found sun-dried baby sea turtles ashore. Alive, we'd never eat them. But nature's ruthless. Sam tossed the dried turtles into a pot. The broth tasted shockingly delicious. 10 times better than fish. Though some objected on ethical grounds, hunger overruled qualms. In the blink of an eye, it was already day 35. Even the coconuts at the entrance had been completely consumed. As time passed, surrounding resources also began to dwindle. At this point, someone suggested checking the other side of the island. Perhaps resources there would be more abundant. Thus, Sam and a teammate crawled into the jungle to trek. They needed to walk 2.5 hours to reach the southern shore. This was undoubtedly a dangerous mission. If anything went wrong midway, the consequences would be unimaginable. When they finally painstakingly arrived at the southern shore, what greeted them wasn't an endless beach, but a perilous, steep cliff. A single misstep could lead to a fatal fall. This meant the two had wasted an entire day's effort. They might as well return to camp empty-handed. By now, teammates grew anxious about their safety. It was already dark, yet they hadn't returned. Teammates specifically went searching for Sam and his companion. The deeper they ventured, the steeper the paths became. Unfortunately, there was still no sign of the two. This filled everyone with dread. After surviving together for so long, camaraderie had inevitably formed among them. 2.5 hours later, they returned to camp empty-handed. Just as someone proposed calling for rescue. At 10 p.m., Sam and his teammate finally made it back safely. Man, their teammates had been worried sick. After surviving this nerve-wracking night, the next morning, everyone regained their drive. They seemed to grasp the meaning of teamwork, beginning to collectively enjoy the island's offerings. In this state, food supplies gradually returned to normal. While strolling on the beach that day, they discovered wild boar tracks. Turns out this island had plenty of animal resources. Following the tracks for a few hundred meters, they unexpectedly found a boar napping under tree shade. The creature lay motionless, cooling itself on the ground. Seeing the perfect opportunity, they cautiously began closing in. When within striking distance, Vic charged forward in a sudden dash, instantly seizing the boar's hind legs. Sam swiftly plunged a knife into its neck. Every movement executed flawlessly without hesitation. The boar's tusks looked terrifying in retrospect. The group hauled the meat back to camp. Teammates couldn't stop grinning at the sight. This boar weighed at least 100 pounds. They grilled the sliced meat on metal plates. One bite, the flavor was absolutely divine. Though lacking any seasoning, hunger became their finest spice. Soon, they devoured every last morsel. Now, with ample food supplies, it was time for them to finally relax a bit. They even crafted a sign using a crocodile skull and boar hooves, symbolizing their gradual conquest of the island. At sunset, everyone played games on the beach, marking their first true moment of leisure since arriving. As night fell, they lit a bonfire, gathering around to share survival insights. Each had grown tremendously during this time. Now it was time to leave. In a blink, departure day arrived. Bear arrived by yacht to check on the survivors. He felt deeply gratified by their perseverance. So many had endured until the final moment. They extinguished the fire, boarded the yacht, and sped homeward.